There can be few machines more closely associated with World War II than the Sherman tank. By the end of 1944, when the Axis forces were in full retreat along all fronts, it was often the ubiquitous Sherman that spearheaded the advance into liberated towns and cities.
With the eternal city on the banks of the Tiber at last freed from tyranny, Romans are in festive mood as the fighting men and vehicles of the Allies pass through the Italian capital. The townspeople cheered the victorious Allied troops as they pushed on through the town towards their next objective.
Developed in the United States as the M4 medium tank, it was the British who gave it its baptism of fire in the North African desert in 1942. The 3 tank regiments of the 6th South African Armoured Division were also equipped with Shermans, and made a massive contribution towards the liberation of Italy. By the time of D-Day and the Normandy invasion, the Sherman was the backbone of Allied armour. It was ingeniously adapted for a variety of roles. Many were fitted with snorkels for engine exhaust and intake air, allowing them to crawl semi-submerged from landing craft and climb onto the beach. Not all of them made it, but enough did to make a difference. The Sherman could also be made amphibious. Canvas flotation screens secured to the hull gave it buoyancy, and twin propellers geared to the engine provided the power to forge through the water and cross the Rhine into the heart of Germany. Among many other innovations was the Sherman flail tank for clearing mines, the Sherman bulldozer, and even the Sherman mobile bridge. In hindsight, the Sherman is often compared to the German Tiger and Panther tanks of the day, usually unfavourably. It's true that in the latter stages of the war, the Sherman had lost its technological edge to the Panzers, but in terms of durability and reliability, the American tank outshone all others. The Panther was indeed a formidable fighting machine, a superb example of German engineering. But in its very sophistication lay its weakness. While the Panther was more powerful and technically advanced than the Sherman, it was also more complicated and much more prone to breakdowns. The rugged Sherman, on the other hand, just kept on going until it was stopped by enemy action. And very often it could be returned to the fight. Changing engines and transmissions in the field was done as a matter of routine, while many Panthers were abandoned because of the highly specialized maintenance they required. And whereas the Panther tracks would typically be worn out after only 800 kilometers or so, the Sherman's tracks would normally last for 4,000 kilometers. But perhaps the greatest strength of the Sherman lay in the sheer numbers that could be sent onto the battlefield. It was a triumph of American industrial capacity. No fewer than 49,234 were churned out by various factories between 1942 and 45, more than the total number of tanks produced by Britain and Germany combined. The original engine chosen to power the Sherman was a Continental 9-cylinder radial derived from aircraft applications. This engine had the advantages of compact size and a high power-to-weight ratio. It was mounted at the rear of the tank and drove the front-mounted transmission via a prop shaft through the hull space. The transmission casing was designed as an integral part of the armour protection. During the war, the radial engines were in short supply, so other engines were also used, including an unusual 30-cylinder multibank, derived from 5 small bus engines on a common drivetrain. This Sherman came from the Armour Museum to Sandstone Estates with the original radial engine installed. But due to the radial's prodigious thirst for fuel, it's been replaced with a large Atlantis twin-turbo diesel mated to a 4-speed automatic gearbox. Fuel consumption has dropped from the radial's 9 litres a kilometre to a frugal 2.5 litres per kilometre. Top speed is 45 kilometres an hour. But recognising the provenance of the original engine, there are plans to put it on display and maintain it in working condition. The Sherman is one of the iconic machines of World War II. It wasn't perfect, but its many virtues more than made up for its very few vices.